Somebody say we shall overcome. And we shall overcome. Sing we shall overcome someday. Well, deep in my heart, oh, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Come on, put those hands together. Oh, we shall overcome. Somebody sing we shall. Let it ring out that we shall overcome someday. And deep in my heart, oh, I believe that we shall overcome someday.
Good morning. You have just tuned in to another live broadcast of the People United to Serve Humanity. Pushing for you is what we do. We are coming to you live from our headquarters here at 930 East 50th Street in Chicago, Illinois. We are excited about those who have tuned in to the Impact Network, those of you who are listening to us on iHeartRadio via 1690 AM WVON, those of you who are tuning in live on our website, www.rainbowpush.org, or who are following us on Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram. We welcome all of our viewers from all across the country, to include Kenya, Spain, Malaysia, the Virgin Islands, Netherlands, and Angola. We especially thank those of you who are tuning in from our satellite cities of Detroit, Washington, D.C., Silicon Valley, New York, and Atlanta. We have another dynamic program in store for you today. We're going to talk quite a bit about our role on Wall Street and the upcoming conference next week. You need to stay informed, you need to stay inspired, but most importantly, we need you to stay involved with us. Thank you for tuning in. The push is on. The push is on. The push is.
We shall overcome someday. Come on, join in. Oh, we shall overcome. Somebody sing. Let it ring out that we shall someday. Well, deep in my heart, oh, I still believe that we shall overcome. Come on, someday. Come on. Oh, can't nobody, come on, say, do me like Jesus. Come on, say, can't nobody do me like the Lord. Do me like the Lord. Come on, oh, can't nobody. Come on, say, do me like Jesus. He's mine. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody. Come on, help me say it. Oh, can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. Nobody, 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 come on, say it. Oh, nobody, nobody, nobody knows why. 'Cause he's my friend. Come on. Oh, yeah. He's my friend. Oh, yeah.
Thank you again for tuning in to the live broadcast of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Pushing for you is what we do. Today we are dedicating our broadcast to the families of Dennis Edwards of the Temptations. Not even a year ago, he was standing in this very position, partnering with us and sharing his musical talent. So we definitely want to keep his entire family lifted in prayer. We also want to pray for the family of Bishop John Hurst Adams, former presiding prelate for the AME Church, Hank Thomas, NBA agent for Dwayne Wade, and the Miami Heat. player Rasul Butler and his wife Leah. I want to appeal to you again to join us next week in New York as we prepare for our Wall Street Project Conference. This is the 21st annual summit of our economic geniuses, of our economic family, and of our quest to get our share of the American pie. So as we plan for our conference next week, we kick it off on Wednesday night. That's February 7th, Wednesday night, with a town hall meeting with our civic rights leaders, to include, of course, our very own, the man who has done more for economic parity than anybody else in this yet-to-be United States of America, our very own CEO and founder, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. He will be joined by some of his understudies, such as Al Sharpton, Reverend Al Sharpton, who's doing a great job with the National Action Network. Also Mark Morial, Dr. Julian Malvo, Minor Sinclair, and Ron Busby of the U.S. Black Chamber will lead a wonderful town hall session on Wednesday, February 7th, that evening. Then we kick the summit off on Thursday morning. Thursday, we have a real focus on our millennials. We know the Bible tells us that we are to train up a child in the way they should go, so when they're old, they won't depart for it. Well, we also want to train up our millennials to understand the importance of getting their access to capital, of getting their portion of this American pie. So we'll spend a lot of time with the millennials talking about speed networking and venture capitalist opportunities, as well as how to use the social media platform to expand their business. And of course, we're going to keep them focused on the discussions in social, economic, and political parity. We'll also have a wonderful luncheon with our 1,000 Churches Connected as we talk about the importance of the church and the role that it plays in political, social, and economic parity. And our very own Reverend Freddie Haynes of Friendship West in Dallas, Texas, will be the moderator of that session. We're also, though, engaging our athletes. We know our athletes do a phenomenal job while they're on the playing field. But what happens after the playing field? We want to have a real discussion with them to make sure that they're doing their part in investing their dollars. We've proven that we're great consumers. Now we have to do our part with being better and more prudent with the dollars that God has entrusted our hands to. We're going to culminate that day's activities. We have tons of workshops. Due to the limitations of my time, I can't walk through all of them, but we will culminate that Thursday, February 8th, with our kickoff reception, and it's the Game Changers reception. We're going to honor many of the NBA mothers, such as Ms. Wanda Durant. We're also recognizing some of the folks in the entertainment field who have a great social civic mind. One of the folks we'll honor at the opening reception is Michael K. Williams. You've seen him in several movies. He was the infamous Chalky White during Boardwalk Empire. He'll be with us at the opening reception, along with entertainment from Raheem, the Raheem Walker Project. Wonderful, wonderful musical selections. Friday, we're going to convene mayors and other elected officials from all across our country to talk about urban and rural policy at our Urban and Rural Policy Breakfast, as we examine not only opportunities for urban and rural areas, but also how do we do, what role do we need to play to spur economic development and job creation in this new era that we're facing. We will also feature the growth and empowerment of women. We'll have a session focused exclusively for women called Her Seat at the Table. We'll have some sessions on African American board development. John Rogers did a wonderful job last week laying out why it's important for us to have more minorities on boards and the importance of the role that they play with reaching back and pulling up once they get on those boards. We're going to have a wonderful diversity inclusion luncheon, and that night we will culminate with our gala, where the beautiful, lovely Avery Sunshine will provide musical entertainment. Long story short, you don't want to miss this summit. It is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be hosted at the beautiful Sheraton, right in the middle of Times Square. It will again last from Wednesday, February 7th, clear through Friday, February 9th. If you'd like more information, please go to www.ugconnect.org. www.rainbowpushwallstreetproject.org, or you can call us right now. Our phone lines are open. We want to hear from you. Talk to us. Call us at 773-256-2775, and we would be happy to give you more information regarding the Wall Street Project Conference. But that's not all. We also want you to tune in tomorrow morning. We still do our Keep Hope Alive radio show every Sunday morning. We have a wealth of information that we continue to share on that show, so we appeal to you to tune in to the Keep Hope Alive radio show, Sunday 7 to 9 Central Standard Time. You can also join us by Facebook and Twitter on the Keep Hope Alive Rainbow Show. Keep Up Alive show. But tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about the Wall Street Project Conference, but we're also going to analyze and have some lively discussion around the State of the Union address that we heard this week. And we'll be joined by Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky. We'll also have Congressman Danny Davis on the show, Alabama State Representative Mirica Coleman, and Reverend Dr. Todd Yearly from Baltimore. We have a wonderful lineup for that show, so we want you to tune in to the Keep Hope Alive radio show. Last but not least, our Push bookstore is open. If you are interested in any of the wonderful Rainbow Push gear you've seen us sporting around the building, please visit our Rainbow Push bookstore right on the second floor. If you would like information, if you're from another state and you want information on some of the items in the store, please call us right now. Our phone banks are open. We also have a mobile history bus right outside that we would like for everyone who's in the audience today to take a look at. There's some great information. As we kick off Black History Month, we're going to do our part with making sure that we bring great information to you every Saturday. We've got a great information bus outside that we'd like for you to take a look at. But the best thing that you can do to honor our ancestors who fought so hard to get so many of the rights that we have today is to make sure that you register to vote and vote your interest. It is so important, you all, as we look at all the elections and all that we have at stake across this country, the best way to honor our ancestors as we reflect on our history during Black History Month is to register and vote your interest. Also, encourage others to register and vote. Thank you so much for your indulgence. At this point, I'd like to bring forward my sister here on the social and civil activism battlefield. You know her, you love her. She does a wonderful job. Let's give it up for Reverend Jeanette Wilson.
Good morning, Rainbow Push family, Push Excel family. There are a couple of things that we are concerned about. Reverend Jackson had us open this year reading the Emancipation Proclamation. And I know many of you are wondering, why was that so significant? He has explained it over and over again. And then, Reverend, recently there was a study released by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which indicates that slavery and its real impact on African Americans in particular has not been properly taught in our schools. And so even the Emancipation Proclamation is not a subject that has been taught. This study indicates that 1,000 American high schools were surveyed, seniors, and more than 1,700 social studies teachers around the nation, and also 10 U.S. history textbooks were reviewed, 15 state standards were reviewed, and it indicated that not only do the students not learn much about slavery, they are not learning African American history, the teachers don't know it, and the textbooks don't provide an accurate perspective on the impact of slavery on our American society. And so when Reverend Jackson talks about why we should vote and all of the things that we should do, you have to remember at slavery, we were not citizens. We couldn't vote, we could not get paid for the work that we did, and we could not engage in receiving a public education. And so when he says to parents, take your child to school, meet your child's teachers, there was a time when education was not permissible for African Americans. And so we want every African American child to have 100% attendance unless you are ill. And like my mother told me, you have to have a fever, can't move, can't think, can't talk, and therefore, if you can move at all, you're on your way to school. Parents, take your child to school so that we can reduce the truancy rate in our schools. That's what Push Excel is mandated. We're asking every educator, every district superintendent to join us in this Push Excel pledge, the parent-teacher joint venture. Also, during slavery, there were issues about getting not only a K-12 education, we were not allowed to go to colleges, and so we now had to build our own institutions. The historic black colleges were born, and that is why every year we take students on an HBCU Historic Black College Tour. We are encouraging parents. We do a live session every Saturday from 12 to 1:30 so that you can understand how you prepare your child for college, how do you get the financial aid you need, and why they might need to consider a college where the people in charge look like them, where they don't have to overcome racism in order to achieve, where they are expected to do well and achieve above grade level. We want you to join us every Saturday here in the city of Chicago. You can fly your child here. They can go on the bus tour with us if they watch the weekly workshops that we have online at pushexcel.org and at rainbowpush.org. We live stream the workshops. This will help you, wherever you are watching us, prepare your child for college. And then the other thing is every Saturday afternoon in the city of Chicago at the national headquarters, we have a partnership with the University of Chicago. We are looking at this 50-year journey legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King's work. It wasn't just the voting rights. He looked at the worker rights, and that's why he was in Memphis. And so we'll be talking about worker justice issues in coming weeks. Tomorrow is Worker Justice Sunday. It is commemorating when the sanitation workers in Memphis went on strike. And you'll hear more about that as we talk about why Dr. King was in Memphis in the first place. And we will be joining Reverend Jackson April the 3rd and 4th in Memphis as we remember the fight for workers, as we remember the struggle for workers, not just then, but now. And so one of our projects will be the fight for workers. That is why we have a training program every Thursday night here. It's a model for what we expect churches and other organizations to do. We have a pre-construction class program that will begin here at the Push headquarters so you can learn how to be prepared, not just to be a flagger, but to be a construction worker, how to get in the union, how to do some basic construction, have some basic construction skills. Call us right now, 773-256-2775, 773-256-2775. Program is open to all members of Rainbow Push. Membership is $35 a year or $15 if you are a senior or a student. Join those classes. Reverend Jackson is going to talk about voter registration. He's going to talk about our voter justice campaign that we're launching across at least the 11 southern states and around the nation. We want everybody registered. He's going to give us more details on that when he comes up. But I want every college president, every dean of students to call us right now, contact us. We want to make sure that all of the students enrolled in your schools are registered to vote. Every college president, all the city colleges, we're in partnership with the Chicago city colleges. We want community colleges around the nation. Make sure that your students are registered to vote. And I want those in the city of Chicago, join us to go on this African American Legacy bus tour so that you can see our history, you can feel our history, you can touch our history, so that you will be inspired to make history. We have a young man who is going to come. He's a part of our oratorical program. He's a senior at Carl Schurz High School. His name is Dorian Baker. Won't you greet Dorian Baker as he comes and projects as one of our oratorical students, and he's going to talk about Let America Be America Again.
Good morning, everyone. It's kind of early, Saturday morning. Glad everyone is here. Definitely like the words that Reverend Wilson said about, really thriving in environments where people like you are succeeding. And I was at Loop Capital this summer, and it was an amazing opportunity that I got through, developing my skills in the oratorical competition. And now I'm at the Art Institute as a teen council member, working in diversity and inclusion and the financial services pipeline, trying to increase African American involvement within these fields. So the poem that I'm going to be reciting is Let America Be America Again. It's written by Langston Hughes, 1935, and I think, it's relevant in today's society. It talks about, very deep issues in race and equality, and I hope that it will provide you some insight into what's going on now. So let America be America again. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. Oh, but America never was America for me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great, strong land of love where never kings connive, nor tyrants scheme. That any man be crushed by one above. Oh, but it never was America for me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no face patriotic wreath. But opportunity is real. And life, it's free. And equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me. Nor has there been freedom in this homeland of the free. Oh, but say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? Or who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I'm the Negro bearing onto slavery's scars. I'm the red man driven from his land, and I'm the immigrant clutching onto the hope I seek and fighting that same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. Oh, but I am the young man, and I'm full of strength and hope. And I keep on getting tangled in this ancient, endless chain of profit and of power and of gain, of grabbing the land and grabbing the gold and grabbing the ways of satisfying need and working the man and taking his hard-earned pay and owning everything for one's own greed. But yet, I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream to build a homeland of the free. But the free? Who set the free? Not me, surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay. And for all these dreams we've dreamed and all these songs that we've sung, all the hopes that we've held on to and all the flags that we've hung up. The millions, again, who have nothing for our pay, except a dream that's almost dead today. Oh, but let America be America again. The land that's never been yet, and yet must be. The land where every man is free. It's a great honor for me to introduce Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr., a man that's been a pillar of the community for a very long time and has an important message for you. Please put your hands together.
I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. I may be down but not destroyed, maybe empty but not void, 'cause I am somebody. Somebody. I may be
respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. My mind is a pearl. I can learn anything in the world if my mind can conceive it and my heart can believe it. I know I can achieve it. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop the violence. Save the children. Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody is somebody. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Let me make you scream.
Maybe down but not destroyed. I may be empty but I'm not void, 'cause I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Good baby, I am somebody. Hey, you can try to walk away, but at the end of this day, say I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Oh, I am. Hey, you can turn and walk away, but at the end of this day, I am somebody.
Let's hear for Mehan. Let's hear for Maurice Mehan. Let's hear for Maurice Mehan. Give it up for Maurice. We proceed with our work for today. We want our hearts go out in a very special way to Judge William Cousins, who will be buried today, funeral last night at Trinity. Brilliant brother, Harvard Law graduate, independent political leader who embraced Dr. King, an outstanding judge and jurist, a man of great dignity, great distinction. We love and appreciate the life of Judge William Cousins. Get a big hand for Judge William Cousins. In the Christmas season, I went down to the rehab center and met and saw Dennis Edwards. He was here last year. He went to Canada and developed some kind of a disease that struck him down real fast. And he was in rehab for several months. Then he went to Mercy Hospital. Went to see him on Thursday afternoon. He died on Thursday night. He was the lead singer in Papa Was a Rolling Stone and Cloud Nine, and I Can't Get Next to You. A big hand for Dennis. He was such a... The service said yesterday of Hank Thomas. Hank Thomas is an agent, a lawyer, a ball player, a professional agent who made players better off the court. A big hand, really, for Hank Thomas. I want to talk a bit about voting, but I want my very special guest today to come and stand with me in just a moment, Brother David Emmanuel Ukasoni. He is from Nigeria. Bring him up here. Bishop Jones, I want you to stand with us. You and Reverend Cassius, come stand with us, and Bishop Jones. Before I get into his case, I want you to know that in Chicago, in Illinois, there's a governor's race March the 20th. The voting rolls closed down February the 20th. There are in Chicago high schools approximately 10,000 high school seniors. I want every high school senior listening today, your class should be fully registered. You can vote, so I can vote this year and determine the governor and the congressional leaders and state leaders from my state. So we're going to have every principal convene your high school seniors as you convene them for prom and convene them for the senior march. Convene your high school. If there's 17 now, there'll be 18 by November of this. They have the right to register. They can make their Trump statement now. Why should high school seniors vote? They should vote because they want more scholarships. They should vote because they want lower tuition. They should vote because they want a job that pays. They should vote because they want better high schools, better equipment, and better paid teachers. And so voting is a weapon. In addition to that, we're getting the research on a number of high school seniors in the suburbs, and from Chicago to Danville and Danville to North Chicago. We're going to have a major crusade in this state and across every high school senior that stands a chance of going to an unnecessary war or register and vote for people in power who will heal them and not kill them. So if you're watching us right now in California, you're watching us in Nevada, you're watching us in Mississippi, you're watching us in Atlanta, Georgia, there's no George Wallace to stop us. There's no Bull Connor to stop us. There are no dogs. As you celebrate Black History, don't just put up on your wall several blacks that were high achievers. George Washington was a scientist. He did great things with peanut and potatoes, and he did. And Bill Davis was the first black general, and he was. And Dr. King did this and that, and Malcolm X did this and that. This is not a month just to highlight black achievers, but black struggle. We have the power to change our condition. Don't you know that this year there was a race in Virginia for governor? One candidate wanted to embrace Robert E. Lee and the Confederate statues and bring back those who marched against the Jews and against blacks, the Nazis, neo-Nazis and KKK. He embraced that statue. Another guy ran against him, and the guy who ran against him won because one of every 5 votes was African American. When we vote, big things come our way. Voting really does matter. In Alabama, when you had Roy Moore and Trump running a very mean-spirited fascist campaign, that we came alive, and those who got the right to vote in 1965 showed their power. One of every 3 votes was African American. We put in the governor of our choice. Across the South, there are 4 million blacks unregistered today. 4 million blacks today who need Medicaid, who need a livable wage, who need more scholarship for their children, who need to have the access to capital to invest in land and build their land and develop their land. If we put on 2 million new voters in the South, we would change the complexion of America. When I ran in '84 and we won the South in '84 on Super Tuesday, we got Sanford as the governor of that state. The next year, his vote was only 40% African white. The Governor Graham of Florida, Governor Breaux of Louisiana, Senator Breaux of Louisiana, the Senator Cranston from California. When we vote, we have the power to change our condition. Nobody has a right to expect much and do little. No one has a right to expect more and do less than their best. When we do our best, God will do the rest. We take 1 step, God will take 2. But the first step is a step of faith. So with your faith, step forward. With your faith, pick up your rod, extend your rod, Red Seas will open up, and Pharaoh's army will drown. Stand tall. Deep water does not drown you. Deep water does not drown you. You drown when you stop kicking. Keep kicking. Keep fighting. Stand up. Say, stand up and fight back. Before I go any further into that 50 years later business, and we're going to talk a bit about Memphis and Selma. Brother David Emmanuel Ukasone is from Nigeria. And he flew from Nigeria to Dubai, and Dubai to Chicago. Well, on the plane, on the Emirates Airlines, we've been in test churches this week with the Emirates and Nigeria and the Emirates Airlines. He got to use the toilet. First time he'd ever flown internationally. It could have been in part transit. He got up and he sat in the wrong seat, but he was obviously on the plane. And the bodyguards beat him up. and tied his arms with wire. They tied his arms with wire and tied his legs with wire and put a mask over his face and held him down, let him lay near the toilet door for 8 hours. When he got to O'Hara, his son was waiting to pick him up. And when his son was waiting to pick him up, he was not there. They took him up to the hospital, took him straight to the hospital because he was sick. 8 hours on the flight, laying on that floor, and he had paid his fare. The Emirates will hear from us. We filed a lawsuit. Emirates Airline, the nation of the Emirates, as well as Nigeria. So this is part of our international work, and I want to take your time and speak a minute. His English is not as clear as some others of us, but tell us what happened on that plane.
Yes, sir.
Take your time.
Okay. Your Excellency, good morning. It was just 550 items connected to almost my death. I went to the toilet where the other bus.
Went to the toilet.
Toilet, stop. Also good, easy to go to the toilet and test yourself, where you travel, go far, you come back. But when I got there, I come back, drop my things. I went back to the toilet. When I come back, I didn't see my bag. And then I didn't see anybody to ask. I asked because it's getting night. So that was only what I saw. They told me I should wait. By the time I moved out from that place to go and look for another transport, my set, everything has been taken away. What I had from my bag is beating. They're hitting me both left and right. So this I've already time. It remained very little to clear. But they tie me with 2 hands, 2 of my ankle, my 2 legs. Then take handkerchief, tied my nose and my mouth. So I have nothing place to breathe air for myself. All what I'm shouting is Jesus. What have I done? Jesus, what have I done? What have I done to receive this type of problem? And nobody answered me. Then I wake up. I went to the hospital. Somebody picked me, just a small boy, ambulance. I don't know what I mean, whether it's the ambulance, whether it's trailer, whether it's, I don't know, because I don't know myself again. I was touched. And I wake up, when I wake up, I look myself in the hospital. No, just nobody, I didn't see anybody until one of, I don't know who reported this matter to their friends, and they went back to the hospital to check on me. By that time, I spent 4 good days outside in the hospital. No chair, nothing given to me. Yeah, thank God. That was my story, sir.
Show your love, show your love. Show your, on your feet, show your support. Show your support on your feet, show your support. I wanted to turn it to say just a bit, but they've already filed a lawsuit. We've been in touch with the governments of the Emirates and Nigeria and our own State Department. And this is his lawyer, a fellow Nigerian. Give them where we are legally. You'll be hearing more about this in days to come.
Good morning. I want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to come and be part of this program this morning. And after today, I will also be a registered member of PUSH Coalition. I came here 20 years ago as an immigrant after high school. I also had the opportunity to go to college and law school here. My name is Alex Ogoki, and I prepared the necessary paperwork for Mr. Kesani to migrate to this country. His wife has previously came about a year and a half ago, who's standing here. The son came and they also wanted the whole family to come. So, and unfortunately, on his way to Chicago, he met this demise. And the family is asking for justice.
We're going to sue.
No person, not a 74-year-old man, deserves to be treated this way, regardless of your color, race, or origin. So we want to send a message to the Emirates that though Trump calls our country a shithole, we are not. We are better than that. The family has filed a lawsuit, and Reverend has intervened in this case, and he's going to help the family get justice they deserve.
Put your hands together. Put on your feet again. Show your love. Show your respect, your appreciation. Show your love. Show your respect, your appreciation. How you treat the immigrants, those whose backs are against the wall, is a measure of one's character. You do know that when Jesus was born under Roman occupation and they were going to collect taxes and create obligations without caring, and they were going to kill all of the firstborn babies, looking for him, who had been touted as the leader emerging amongst the people. They went to Egypt as immigrants, went to Egypt as refugees. Be careful how you turn your back on immigrants and refugees as you deal with the impact and substance of your Christianity. If Pharaoh could receive Jesus and Mary and Joseph and save that baby, we can save those. Someone said to me yesterday, why would we get involved in DACA? First of all, DACA is not just a Latino issue. They are aggressive enough to demonstrate, but DACA is 50,000 Haitians have been sent back. DACA is about the Caribbean. DACA is about, this is DACA too. DACA is about Indians. DACA is about the challenge to America's mantra. I read someplace, give me your tired. You pull your whole mass, not your free and your individuals, but you're not your rich and you're able, but you're poor and your whole masses, and bring them to these wretched shores. We'll take rejected stones and make of them cornerstones, but sometimes a sole individual who stands and is martyred through suffering can have the power of getting our attention. It may be some Rosa Parks, someone, why her? Because she had the courage to stand up and fight back. Brother David, they called Rainbow Push. In the tradition of ours, we stand up and we fight. We want to thank him for giving us the opportunity to serve. His wrists are bloody, his ankles are bloody. They tied him down with wire. That's why I took the skin off of his wrists and the skin off his ankles, which he could show to you if he chose to today, and then put a face mask on him as if he had some kind of disease, and locked his hand behind his back and put him on the floor near the toilet for 8 hours. When he got to O'Hara to the airport, they didn't bring him off the plane where they could see him at the table. They took him straight off the airplane to the ambulance. His son was waiting for him to come to the door. He kept waiting, and he finally called, and he was been taken to the hospital, Revelation Hospital, out near O'Hara. And at 10 o'clock that night, they finally found him. He was due in at 4 o'clock that afternoon. And so they, in a sense, kidnapped him. They are going to pay for this. Just as they had the case on the United Airlines, just happened to be a colored man just saying on the United Airlines, and now on the Emirates Airlines, they say just saying, but we ain't taking it though. Now, the question becomes at one level, how would Dr. King respond to this as we celebrate this legacy of his struggle? One is to have the power to fight back. One, to have the will to fight back matters, and the courage. For all of my life, I've been reading Paul in Corinthians, say of faith, hope, and charity, and of these three, the greatest of these is charity or love. I think Paul missed one. I think he missed courage. You can have faith and get to the river's edge and won't quite take on that water. You can have hope and get to the river's edge, you won't take on the water. You can have love, hope, and faith, but unless you have courage, you will not take on that water. But the water is chilly, and it got alligators in it. It got man-eating mammals in the water, and so you have to have the courage to stand up and to fight back. And many of us have a courage deficit disorder, and we're going to fight back today. And it's amazing. Dr. King used to have a way of saying that that vote can make them go from nigger to negro to colored to black. Every time more voters, our name changes with our power. See, people with power are not looked down on. If you can protect yourself, if you can be a coalition, you can protect your interests. And that's why I want you who don't like what you just saw, I want every high school senior watching me this morning, listening on BON, every high school principal. There's no George Wallace to stop us. There's no Bull Connor to stop us. If you're in New Jersey, if you're in Chicago, if you're in Alabama, you're in Atlanta, convene your high school senior class and register them. We'll be going to Selma, Alabama in a couple of weeks. And we're right down to the black belt there. You got all black high school principals and all black students, and no Jim Clark to stop us, no George Wallace to stop us. And you know those principals are not convening those high school seniors to register and vote. Is it not evident what happens in Alabama when we vote in Alabama? We turn red to blue. We have the power to change the complexion of Alabama voting. There was a time when all the ball players in Alabama were white ball players, and they would always lose the big game. But now when Alabama played Georgia in the big game, like a piano, it's black and white, take black and white notes to make music on the piano. And they begin to make real music. Those who have the power to play ball, who have the power to vote. And I was impressed, I must say, in Alabama. Not only was some red remained red and became very red, but we won Lee County, which is where Auburn University is. We won Tuscaloosa, which is where the University of Alabama is, because those people are becoming more socialized and more civilized in black-white relations. They watch them play ball together, and they go to class together, and they're becoming more civil. But we can't stop that, because we've done more than that. We have created, with our fight back, a new South. You couldn't have the Carolina Panthers in South Carolina and Charlotte if the walls were sealed up. They couldn't play together, couldn't stay together, and the parents couldn't sit together. You couldn't have the Atlanta Falcons behind the cotton curtain. You couldn't have the Dallas Cowboys. It had been illegal in Dallas for them to play together. You couldn't have the San Antonio Spurs, the Miami Heat behind the cotton curtain. Michael Jordan couldn't have gone to the University of North Carolina. Barkley couldn't have gone to the University of Auburn. Bo Jackson couldn't have gone to Auburn University. When we pull down walls, great things come our way. There is a new South, and the irony is it's blue in its athletics. Black and white playing ball together, and we filling up the stadium, but it's often not graduating. And then when we do graduate, it's because we can go to school 5 years on 5-year scholarship and classmates cannot get a 5-year scholarship, therefore they cannot go. On the other hand, you have almost all black ball players, almost all white coaches, and almost all white athletes. Say, if we can play ball, we can coach ball, we can also be athletic directors. We can be in more than just the athletic department. We can say we can be chemists and physicists and scientists and technologists and engineers and math. There's nothing we cannot do. There's no goal we cannot achieve. There's nothing wrong with us. There's something wrong with opportunity. We intend to change the conditions under which we struggle. Sometimes we get confused, you know, that you have one, I often tell you have on a size 10 shoe and a size 8 foot. You say, well, my problem, I have a coin. You have a shoe that's too small. It creates the coin. And don't cut your foot off, expand the shoe, or go barefooted. Nothing is wrong with your foot inherently. Say, babies don't have coins. Babies don't have bunions. Coins and bunions come in shoes, get too big for the foot. Talk to me, somebody. And so it is today that I want us to stop and fight back. And it's amazing how when a few people will stand up for justice, that things will happen for them. And Dr. King was a man of big imagination. I remember so well our last staff meeting on January 15, 1968. About 50 of us gathered. He had some blacks from Deep South, Georgia, and Alabama, and Mississippi, and South Carolina. And North Carolina had some whites from Appalachia, some Native Americans there from the reservation, some of the Cherokees, and had with us some of the Latinos, some of Chavez group from the Southwest, and some of the Jewish allies from New York, led by Al Lowenstein. And he spent that day trying to figure a plan to create a floor beneath which no one would fall. Where there would be a plan for jobs and income, health care for all, education for all. We did not know how good baseball could be until everybody could play. We did not know how good baseball could be until everybody could play. We didn't know how good football could be until everybody could play. In some sense, we don't know how good our mentality can be that everybody can play. And I watched that State of the Union address with more Trump's madness. He is a very, very unqualified man. And he is, unless we're successful this year in taking the House and Senate back, he's going to get America in trouble. I said, well, you know, Mexico is our neighbor. We share 2,000 miles of border with Mexico. Do you want your next door neighbor to be your friend or be your adversary? You should court your neighbor. There's a vacant house across the street from where I live. Time they move in, I'm gonna move right there. But how y'all doing? Where y'all come from? What can we do? Because someday somebody might rob your house, and they can see the robber. Or someday your house might catch on fire. Talk to me, somebody. See, anybody in their right mind ought to embrace their neighbor. And so suppose the number 3 trading partner with America behind China and Japan is Mexico. Suppose we convince the Mexicans we don't like them, we're going to build a wall, we're going to further hurt them, and some Chinese tradespeople come to Mexico. Then what we would say? China has the right to trade with Mexico. Suppose we jam them. And then suppose some of the ISIS, some of the enemies set up it because we've turned them against us. It does not make sense to turn your neighbor against you or to turn on your number 3 trading partner. He said over in the Middle East, it's going to be, if we take our image to Jerusalem, there are 77 nations that are not doing that. They want to leverage a peaceful relationship between Israelis and Palestinians. If you don't follow them, we're going to cut off aid. Well, we give money, but so there's more than money. There's more than money on a trade deal, because sometimes we have money and the other people have strategic positioning. We may have money, they may have oil, and then he turned on the Africans and turn on the Haitians. Don't you know that if Louverture had not defeated Napoleon in Haiti, we'd all be speaking French today? That France was into French expansionism and the slave rebellion. They sent Napoleon home or running. They finally captured Louverture and he died in France, but Haiti defeating Napoleon is what saved America from being a French colony. As a matter of fact, down on the river where Trump's tower is, across from that tower is a little sign that says Chicago was founded by a Haitian named DuSable. That was an African Haitian, if you will. At that time, France's biggest export market for sugar and rice was Haiti. Every baseball that Babe Ruth have hit for a home run was made in Haiti. There's a statue in Savannah, Georgia, where where Haitians left their country and joined America's Revolutionary War. Haiti helped to free America. We're in Haiti's debt. Haiti is the creditor and we are the debtor. He took another ignorant swipe at Africa because, he just doesn't know it. Arrogance can blind you. He sees the world through a keyhole and not through a door. Ignorance is bliss, but it's also dangerous. And Africa is the creditor and America is the debtor. America's wealth comes from Africa.
Join Reverend Jesse Jackson at the Rainbow Push Wall Street Project Economic Summit at the Sheraton Times Square in New York City, February 7th through 9th. Meet Reverend Al Sharpton, Mark Morial, investment bankers Cynthia DeBartolo and John Rogers, producer Tanya Lewis-Lee, mothers of the NBA, and America's top millennial political, business, and religious leaders as we seek equity and inclusion on Wall Street. Visit rainbowpushwallstreet.org or call 646-549-5889.
Ignorance break your spirit. We must stand up and fight back. I'm glad this week that we've had the joy of reflecting on the life of Reverend Wyatt T. Walker, who was one of the great pillars of our struggle in Birmingham, Alabama. Reverend Wyatt Walker, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, Reverend Martin Luther King, they went to jail and used their stature and their strength to organize and break the back of racial segregation at that time. Well, segregation, it may not mean much to you today, but when you can't use the toilet because you colored, you can't use the library because you colored, you can't use the nearest graveyard because you colored, you can't drink water at the fountain because you colored, you can't get first-class books because you colored. My class had 6 of us in one book. We couldn't do homework with books where the teacher had to run off mimeographs, copies of the test for our examination. They meant for us to be ignorant. Black teachers made less money than white teachers by law in segregation. Black soldiers and Latino soldiers had to sit behind Nazis on American military bases while the flag flew high, and they complained about Kaepernick getting on one knee. He is saying that we have a right to fight for the right. We have a right to fight back. But my message to you today across the country, we have 50 years later, don't just use this as a month to name some great people who did something. There's some great work to be done. I want to see next week, I want to see some high school seniors here next week from DuSable and Phillips and our high school. I want you on this day. I want you to vow to fully organize your senior class to register and vote. With all the bad news coming out of Chicago about killing, suppose the word goes out in Chicago, we register every high school senior to vote. We can make our own, we can make our own good news story. If Chicago does it, the suburbs can do it. Suburbs can do it. Downstate can do it. If downstate does it, they will have done it. because black children in Chicago led the way. You stand up and fight back. There's still work to be done. And I say it to you, and I say it sincerely before Mayhan brings on another selection here, is that I think about just how God has used those who have made themselves available to fight back. God has a way of using those who make themselves available to fight back. And I say in my life and time, I've seen an awful lot of things. I saw the inside of a paddy wagon at 19 years old, trying to go and use a public library. Saw that. I saw inside of a jail cell in Greensboro, North Carolina, indicted for starting the riot because we would not leave the streets of downtown Greensboro. I saw Dr. King hit in the head with a brick in Gage Park. Saw that. Saw him shot down in Memphis, Tennessee. Saw the paper turn on him and saw churches turn on him. And now he has that huge monument in Washington, D.C. With more visitors. No presidential monument is visited as much as the King Memorial in Washington, D.C. today, because God has a way of taking care of his own. They derided and put down Du Bois. And now Du Bois stands as a scholar at the top of the heap. They called Mandela less than a man. They wouldn't let us see his face for 27 years. But then early one morning, we saw him coming out of jail, freeing his jailer. God has a way of taking care of his own. I've been to Japan, I tell y'all. I've seen a lot in my life and time. I've been to Haiti. I've been to Korea. I've seen soldiers see me in the face and say, yeah, I've come to set you free. I've seen soldiers walk out of jail who had lost hope they would ever get home free. But I've never seen the righteous forsaken. I've never seen. God has a way of taking care of his own. So God has a way of taking care of his own. If God is with you, and you trust God, and don't doubt him, and you are faithful, good things will always come your way. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. God bless. On your feet, God.
You made a way. Yeah. You made a way, Lord. Yeah. You made a way. Don't know how, but you did it. Oh, you made a way. Don't know how, but you did it, Lord. Ooh, you made a way, Lord. Listen. And I'm standing here only because you made. And I'm standing here only because you made. And I'm standing here only because you made standing here only because you made a way.
I want us to do I want to do 3 or 4. Judge Hill, come here for a moment, please, Judge Hill. And Mrs. McMorris, Bertha, come here for a moment, please. I want y'all to bear with me, just we're running on good time. Bertha McMorris, a dedicated Christian woman, has opened up our store. You see that out there, she's wearing all these. Come here, Betty Magnus, please, and Bonita. These shirts, all this. Of a store upstairs, you can get shirts for your friends, for yourself, and they come in variety, but you can get them upstairs in the store. Secondly, Judge Hill, just as David called us last week for help, Judge Hill called us. He was down about to be killed in Arizona. You wonder why he is so inspired to work so hard and so diligently, Betty, with oratory. Just tell them what inspired you about what we're doing, what happened in Arizona.
Thank you, Reverend. October 23rd, 1982, Sheriff Jimmy Judd down in Cochise County, Arizona, served some traffic warrants on a group of people that I represented or was representing at the time. 2 died immediately when they went in, shot in the back. A third one died subsequently. And the threat came out that if I had been there at the time, there would have been 4 dead. This was a case that I had taken representing individuals who had left Chicago looking for a better way of life in southern Arizona. And when they moved to Arizona, it was a lot worse than what they had left here in Chicago. Turns out I was at Push receiving an award for having represented the Pontiac brothers in the largest capital penalty case in the history of the United States. They came, these people from Arizona came to Push looking for representation, and that day I happened to meet them. I went to Arizona not knowing what I was going to get involved with. When I got down there, I said, my gosh, my wife and my oldest son was 2. She was pregnant with with our second child. And I went down there and I found out, my gosh, here I am in Arizona representing folks who needed representation. When I heard about that threat and I saw everything that was going on down there, we got word back to Reverend. Oh, by the way, I had to consider whether or not I was going to go to Arizona given my situation, but I decided to go. You know, I guess God orders your steps, walk by faith, not by sight, and I went. Got down there, and it got really big and got really hot. And who did I call? Called Reverend Jackson. I saw this man. I had met him when we got the award for the Pontiac case, but I had never met him close up and personal. I saw him walk into a valley where folks were yelling, kill him and take him out. And when he finished talking to him, we were holding hands. I'm talking about people, I mean, my gosh, it was amazing. They wanted to kill us all. I saw this man walk into that group. And when we walked out, we were hand in hand singing, "We Shall Overcome," with this preaching. And from that day on, I said, I got to get back and work with this great man. And that's...
Put your hand together.
That's a true story. Thank you very much.
I want to do this. This is one of his oratorical students here. We're going to do a press conference. I want to do a press conference here with David rather than I want you to see the press conference. I want you to see how he explains to them what happened. Because the press is catching on slowly to this story. But it's our job to provide the platform to get this story told. Am I right about that? Now, I want brother Cassius. Cassius is on our staff now. He's a brother McGowan is now the assistant pastor at Trinity and he's worked with him, and so Cassius has replaced McGowan. He's from Chicago. He just finished Union Seminary last week. Give my hand for that. Serious social activist, preacher, also gifted to sing and play music. So give us a verse of one of them songs, Cassius, because I want you who are listening now, because we survive because you invest. Those of you who will sacrifice and give at least $100, you will sacrifice. I want you to go in your pocket as deep as you can today. This is how we survive. You'll give at least $100. Please stand. You will give. Let them do what he wants. Let them handle that. Yeah, we're in charge of this.
His son is going to interpret.
You sacrifice and give at least $100. You sacrifice and give, and if you need to swipe, we've got a swipe card down here. You give at least $100. Please stand. We need your support to continue our work. You'll give at least $50. When David comes to us, we can't say we'll help you if you give us some money. Say the strong must bear the infirmities of the weak. Help those who need help, and God will help you. You can't beat God given. Talk to me, somebody. Maddox, more $100. Thank you, Maddox. You'll sacrifice. Shh. There's too much talking down here. You'll give at least $50. Please stand, Brother Derek Anderson, man of great money, great wealth. Drive a lot of high-priced cars, Derek. I know you're able. You'll give at least $50. Don, you gonna bring him up here? Don Terry? Don? You can bring the family up here and the camera. You can bring Don? Okay. You'll give it thank you so much. You'll give at least $50, Stan. You'll give at least $25. Eric Thomas, I expect you to be on the high end of this. I know you're able. I want you on the high end of this.
Jesus, you're the center of my joy. All that's good and perfect comes from you. You're the heart of my contentment, hope for all I do. Oh, Jesus, you're the center of my joy. Oh, when I've lost my direction, the compass for my way, you're the fire in the night. When the nights are long and cold, in sadness, you are the laughter, shatter all of my fears.
Yes, sir.
When I'm all alone, your hand is there to hold. Contentment, hope for all I do. You're the center of my joy. All that's good, perfect, comes from you. Oh, yes. You're the heart of my contentment. Hope for all I do. Jesus, you are the center of my joy. Jesus, you are center. Anybody know of my joy? You gotta help me. Jesus, you are the center of my joy. When I'm all alone, I can't find nobody else. I know I can call on Jesus. He's right there. Jesus, you are, yeah, the center of my joy. Jesus, you're the center of my joy. The way I want to do this, I want the family to come. I want somebody to help me move this. Like me pushing. Remove this, please. Move this, please. Brother David, come out here. Let them come out here.
Where they going? Where's he going?
Right.
Where's he going? We're going right here.
David, get him a chair.
Okay. Bring him a chair, please. Bring him a chair. Chair.
Sit down, David. Turn this way.
Well, are we going to be blocking you for right
No,
here?
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just right here.
Yeah, this is fine right here.
Sit right here, David. Sit right here.
Let's not sit.
Now, the reason I'm doing it this way, friends, Derek, won't you stand with us, Derek? Bishop Jones or some few minutes ago. Sometime seeing is believing. And the first impression they tried to give was that he was trying to bite them. You got him to the bathroom, 74-year-old man got him and tried to bite them. And they tied him down and handcuffed him in his back. I want the world to see this here. Y'all got the point? And so I want his lawyer, come over here and help interpret for Brother David and show him your ankles and your wrists. Show him his ankles and his wrists. I want y'all to see this now because we're going to be marching on somebody we'll be marching on somebody soon. By the way, while we're working on this, the young man that was just singing is now a member of our staff. He is from Chicago, just finished seminary. He's directing helped direct our minister division. And Eric, he also plays music and instruments too, and sing. Huh? You like that? Sing like I used to sing like that. Lawyer, go over and explain what happened to him, and so people can hear what you're saying.
Mr. Okesone was traveling from Chicago. Okay.
I'll just stand here if you just explain it. Tell me who. What happened to Mr. Kassan?
Yes, he was traveling from Dubai to Chicago, United Arab Emirates Airline, and en route in the plane, he got up to use the bathroom. First time traveling out of the country. As he came back, he sat on the wrong seat, and he was approached by the airline staff who was trying to explain to him that he sat on the wrong seat, and he was trying to understand what they were saying. And the next thing that happened is that the bodyguards on the plane jumped on him, dragged him out of the seat. You could see the scrapes on his face, and then beat him up and tied him with wire ropes in the hands and in the legs, and also gouged him, covered his mouth with handkerchief and mask.
And they never made a report. They never, this is not on the airplane, did not put this on the report. Explain that part of it.
Usually, if there is an incident, the airline claimed that our client was aggressive on the plane. That was the reason for restraining him. But with the protocol, if there is, especially in an international airline, if there is